Welcome back to everyone that's tuned into our channel, American Ultras Talk. Today we're here to talk about the transfer roundups and news. I'm joined by Braden, Shrey, Jeff, and Akil. We got our inmate Jeff right here to give his insights about the news, and we're gonna get straight into the most
Payouts.
concrete news that we have. The only players that are actually holding talks to clubs. We got Weah to Juventus and Pepe to PSV. I'm just going to Braden first. What do you think about that move from Weah to Juventus, the position that he's going to play? Just your overview about the transfer.
Yeah, so it looks like the transfer to Juventus is in the process of being finalized, 12 million from Lille, which is a pretty decent price. And I've seen a lot of people upset about the position he's going to play. It's looking like he's going to be a right wing back, taking the Quadrado role in Allegri's 3-5-2. I actually don't mind it because he's shown both at club level and in the Canada game, I think, that he can get up and down the field, help out on defense, but obviously create some attacking positions as well, as we saw with the assist to Pulisic in the Mexico game. So I think it could be a really good role for him, and I'm excited to see him potentially link up with McKennie, even though it looks like he might be making a Premier League move.
All right. Akil, what do you think about that move? I don't know if you opposed to it more than other people, if you think it is a good move. Do you think that Quadrado role is something that Weah should be trying to grab as soon as he gets to Juventus and solidify that as his position?
I think it's a perfect move for Tim, especially Quadrado getting old. He's 35, if I'm not mistaken. And then Desquilio, he's also injured until 2024. And bringing in Weah, it's really beneficial for that right side. And considering he's really versatile, he can play right wing, a striker, right back, right wing back, left wing back. He's a perfect utility player for Juve, and he can continue to develop there too.
Yeah, when the news first broke out about Weah joining Juve about a week ago, I wasn't a huge fan of it. But when I've thought about it more and more, I think it's an excellent move for Weah. I think he'll thrive there, and Quadrado's like what 36, 37. Like he's really old, and I think by the end of the season, Weah could overtake him and starting for Juve. And also, the last time Weah played in Italy, he won a Ballon d'Or, so it's a perfect move, obviously.
Jeff?
Yeah. When I heard of this news of Weah moving to Juventus, I thought this is a very good move. Especially since we all know very well that he is very well suited for the right wing back position, and his versatility and his incredible pace and his distribution. It's going to be really good for him. Like all of you said, Quadrado, he's very old, and Weah, he should have no problem breaking into the team and becoming a solidified starter. And I just can't wait to see how he does in Serie A and how much of an impact will be for Juventus.
Yeah, I think I agree with everyone. I think the move is growing on our fan base. At first, a lot of people were a little bit skeptical about him playing the wingback role, but like you guys said, he is going to have a lot of freedom in that Juventus system. I watch a lot of Serie A. It's probably the league that I watch the most in the world, and I think he's perfect for the league. He's going to have a lot of opportunity to bomb forward and increase his defensive skills, which he has showed in the past, even in the Canada game as well. So, and it's nice to see him getting a move to a big club. Make no mistake, Juventus didn't make the Champions League this year, but without the points deduction, they would make it, and they're going to be back in the Champions League in no time. I guarantee they're going to be making top four this next season. So it's nice to see Weah, who's a guy that didn't necessarily need a move this summer, wasn't desperate like some of our other players to get a move. He's getting a move to a huge club. So going next, we're going to Pepe to PSV. That's a great move in my eyes. I want to see what you guys think about it. I'll go to Shrey first. What do you think about Pepe making the jump from a relegation battling team in Groningen, where he did pretty well and earned himself the move to one of the biggest clubs in the Netherlands? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's an excellent move. I mean, this past season, we've all just seen what Pepe's really made of. I mean, after like the first 6 months at Augsburg, a lot of people are giving up on him. And Augsburg, like tactical manager says, plays soccer terrorism. Like, it's kind of hard for a forward, and especially someone like Pepe to get there straight from MLS and thrive. So I think PSV is a good place. I think it's a perfect place for him to move in. Yeah, maybe 2-3 years later he can make a jump to wherever. Definitely like a Champions League team, another Champions League team.
So, like Shrey said, Pepe's start at Augsburg was really bad, and I'll admit, I wrote him off like a lot of people did. I thought his career was kind of finished in Europe, but he showed this past season at Groningen that he does still have the talent there, and he was basically their only good player in the Eredivisie. So I think moving up to one of the top teams in the league is perfect for him. They have a lot of good attacking players and players all around that can give him the service, and hopefully that they can qualify for the actual Champions League, because I know they're in the playoff stage right now. So I'd love to see him obviously in the Champions League group stage. I think it's a great move. Better than Feyenoord, who is the other club linked, since they have more options at striker, like Santi Jimenez from Mexico.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, this move is going to be really good for Pepe. Joining the Champions League contending club. First, they got to qualify first, and this is definitely a bigger upgrade than Groningen. He's going to have service, he's going to have support, and he can definitely improve their striking position for them. And I just can't wait to see how he does.
Yeah.
All right.
So Pepe to PSV, I think it's a much better upgrade from Groningen and Augsburg to PSV, who's obviously they're one of the top teams in the Netherlands, and they've been scoring many goals, and it's just a good attacking setup with players like Xavi Simons around him. And in Augsburg, they're more focused defensively, and as Shrey and Tak said, soccer terrorism. It didn't really help him. So I think this is the chance for Pepe to prove himself and develop more, and maybe get that big move in the future.
All right. Since you guys all mentioned Champions League, which we hope and ideally all of our players should be playing there if they have the level, let's move on to the main guy, our number 10, our best player. I'll go to Jeff, since there aren't many rumors apart from the AC Milan one and the reports that Chelsea are willing to let Pulisic, let Christian go out on loan, since they are having a little bit of trouble trying to find the best suitor to buy him on a permanent move. Jeff, how do you see the Milan rumor? Do you think it's a good move for Pully? And since there's nothing concrete, we can just do a little bit of speculation. Where would you like to go to see him go, and where do you think he would fit best for the future of his career, and in a season that, in my opinion, he needs to be playing regular football like he was in the past, regular soccer?
Yeah, the Milan rumor is definitely nice to see. Christian still having interest from top clubs in Europe. And yeah, I say it is, as a Chelsea fan, it is finally time for him to leave Chelsea. Well, I would have said permanently, but since, like you said, they have trouble finding some permanent suitors for him, going out on loan isn't the worst option. And apart from Milan, I really would like to see him in La Liga, because he is a very technical player. He's a player that likes to be on the ball a lot, and we saw that he's not cut out for physically in the Premier League. And if he goes to a team in La Liga, he can definitely flourish there a lot well. And wouldn't have to worry too much physically, just do his own thing, be on the ball. But yeah, for right now, Milan seems to be the most likely destination. But yeah, we're just gonna have to see how this summer plays out for him. Hopefully he picks the right team to further develop his career.
All right, that's fair. Going to Braden, do you agree with Jeff? Do you think that La Liga is a good destination? If so, which club? And if he does go to AC Milan, do you see this transfer as being a success in a year's time?
Yeah, to be honest, I think AC Milan is almost the perfect club for him. They have a real weakness at the right wing position, with Junior Messias being their main guy. He's really just not that great, and he's in his 30s as well. So I think alongside Rafael Leão from Portugal, obviously he's their standout. I think Pulisic could form a great duo there as the wingers, and I'd love to see this move for him. Obviously, a Champions League club, I think they made it, and a top contender in Serie A as well. They won it a couple of seasons ago, so I really like this move.
All right, Akil, how do you see this move? Do you agree with Braden and Jeff? Do you think AC Milan is almost an ideal destination? You've watched a lot of them. You're a Chelsea fan like Jeff. Where do you think would be the best destination? And do you think that this move, if it does happen, is a good one?
So, apart from links, for me, the best destination for Pulisic would be Aston Villa. It's because Unai Emery, he's building something special with that team, and I can see Pulisic getting his career really back on track, and he could be one of the main guys there. And if he plays up to their standard and starts getting back to where he was before and his status before, I think that would be a perfect move. And AC Milan, that would be my second option, because I don't necessarily want to see him playing as a right winger, mostly as a left winger. But there's no chance in hell that he starts over Rafael Leão.
Yeah, I would have to go with AC Milan. So I think he just needs a good game time period, and ideally, I'd like him to leave permanently. But I mean, a loan's not a bad deal. And yeah, whether he plays, I think he could play the 10 also, since Brahim Diaz is leaving back to Madrid. But regardless if he plays the 10 or right wing, I think AC Milan's a good move, and I think it's a much better move than Napoli. I know those weren't really credible rumors, but I think he should go to AC Milan.
All right, since we're talking about Serie A, should we go to Musa? Yunus actually has concrete interest from Italian clubs as well. We've seen a lot. Every Italian club under the sun linked to him, at least in the Calciomercato, the websites that I follow in Italy. They're really good at speculating and creating rumors out of nothing. But the Sassuolo and Inter Milan rumors seem to be very credible, at least, because those clubs actually made inquiries for him. And that doesn't mean that they made an offer, but they are interested in fact. And I think it's pretty clear to say that Musa needs a transfer. I think he's one of the guys that needs it the most this summer. What do you guys think about him going to the Serie A? I'll ask each one of you. I'll start with Akil. Do you think Serie A or Prem? Which one is better suited? He's better suited for. And if he does go to Inter Milan, or since there's nothing concrete, which club would you like to see him playing?
It's really tough for me to say what league I think it's best for him, because for the Prem, I think he needs to get a little faster, and I don't think he's up to the speed of the Prem yet, and I think he could really develop in the Serie A or a bigger club, or like a club fighting for top 6 in La Liga. And I heard a Sassuolo link. Sassuolo, they're a decent club. They should be a top 6, top 7 club in Italy, but they've had a bad season. And Fratesi, I think he might leave, so Musa could be his replacement, get good playing time there. So that would also be a good option. And yeah.
All right, Shrey, what do you think? Do you think that Musa is better suited to the Prem? I just want to point out one thing. He does have the homegrown label in him if he goes to the Prem, so he doesn't take a spot from a foreigner player since he was made at the Arsenal Academy. So that's one of the reasons why some Prem clubs are looking at him, because they have a quota to meet of homegrown players in the matchday squad. But Shrey, do you think that he's better suited to the Prem or Serie A? Where would you like to see him if you had to pinpoint one club?
Yeah, I'd have to go with Serie A still for all the reasons Akil stated. For a lot of people are saying Sassuolo is like too small of a club for Musa, but honestly, like after the season he's had at the club level, I'd be okay with Sassuolo. They're honestly not that bad of a team, and I think Musa could thrive there. I don't know much about their team, but I think he could thrive there, and I think it's a good move. I think he'd thrive there.
Yeah, they do have some good players there that he could combine with, like Loriente.
Berardi.
That's
I was gonna say
yeah,
Berardi.
and Berardi. They're two wingers. Loriente, he's had a surprisingly good season, and that's a player I really rate. And Musa combining with Berardi and Loriente, that could be really good for his development. And yeah, it's not as bad as some USMNT fans think.
Exactly, and as you mentioned, Akil Fratesi, I think he's definitely leaving. If he doesn't leave this summer, I think he's just going to be the next Berardi, the guy that just stays in Sassuolo forever. But going on to Braden, what do you think? I'll ask you the same questions. Which league, which club is Sassuolo a good destination?
Yeah, so I think that the point you made about the homegrown quota is definitely interesting, which I think honestly that would probably be the only reason why he'd get prem interest just based on the season he's had. And I think Sassuolo is a great option. Yeah, maybe they're not at the level that some of our fan base might hope for a club for Yunus Musa, but considering that he almost got relegated with one of the biggest clubs in Spain, I think we could argue with in Valencia. I think he just needs some stability and Sassuolo are a mid-table Serie A team, and I think he would be a perfect replacement for Fertesi, who looks to be leaving. And yeah, I think it's a great move.
All right, Jeff, what do you think? What are your views on Musa's future? And again, same questions.
Um, well, when I first heard about the link to Sassuolo, about him getting interest there, I thought that it isn't a bad move, given that the season he's had at Valencia, and giving him a downgrade in terms of well, not a downgrade, more like an upgrade, because Sassuolo they're still in Serie A, they're a mid-table team, and I feel like he can establish himself there, make a name for himself, and combine well with, like Akil said, like with a player like Berardi, it could be good. But also, it would be optimistic of me to say that a move to the Bundesliga wouldn't be bad either. Like the development that they had for young American players. I feel like Musa could fit in there quite well at the Bundesliga as well. But Sassuolo seems more like the suitable option for him. And the fact that he even at one point lived in Italy, so he can maybe have some sort of perspective on the league in Serie A. It wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, definitely. And since we're talking about Serie A, let's go to a player that definitely needs a move. Balled out in the Nations League, Serginho Dest. He's one of my favorite players from our roster, but he had a terrible season. It was a waste of a season at Milan, sadly. And I think the only realistic link after the Union Berlin one faded away and they pulled out of that transfer is the Besiktas one. And I'm not a fan of this one. I don't think Besiktas is a good link at all, but they are really interested. I see some interest from Real Sociedad, who I think would be a perfect destination. I personally think that Serginho needs to move to a club that is going to give him regular time and a good level at a top 5 league. What do you guys think? Where would you like to see Serginho? And if he, by any chance, goes to Besiktas, how do you evaluate that transfer? I'll go to Braden first.
Yeah, so actually didn't see the links to Real Sociedad, but a couple of days ago I was just looking at some potential options, and they were one that just immediately stuck out to me. As a Champions League team in La Liga, obviously it didn't work out at Barcelona, but I think his technical quality that he's shown on international duty is perfectly suited to the league, and they don't really have too great of an option at right back right now. So I think he'd be a realistic option for them, and that would be my dream transfer for him. As for Besiktas, I'm not a fan of it. The Turkish league would just be a complete waste of his talent, I think. And I don't even think they had a good season. I don't think they're going to be playing in the Champions League next season. I'm not sure Europa or Europa Conference, but I think it would just be a huge waste.
I'll go to Akil now. Akil, I don't know where you stand on this. Do you think that Dest could make a jump to a top 5 league, top half of the table club? Do you think he should aspire to play in a club in the Champions League? As we mentioned, Real Sociedad, I think, would be a perfect place. Where do you see his career going, and where would you like to see it going?
100% Bundesliga. And I saw links to Union Berlin, but that's a horrible link since they have Juranovic at right back, and he's never going to get an over him. maybe on some occasions, but he'll never get he'll never get consistent playing time. And I think Dortmund could be a good potential move, and because their right back depth is not very good. They only have Rierson and Sula as a makeshift right back, and I think Dest could very well he could very well make a starting spot there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it'd be a great move. I just hope that these clubs have faith in him. I think they see his CV and how credible he was in other clubs. It probably turns them off a little bit. And I'll go to Shrey. Do you think that he has any realistic chances of going to a club like Dortmund? And I like that Schalke. I think it would be a great fit, but I just don't really think those clubs trust him enough based on his track record. What do you think, Shrey?
So in regards to Dest to Dortmund, I don't think that deal's happening because we're getting Ivan Fresneda from Valladolid. But regardless, I think he can make maybe not as good a club as Dortmund, but a similar level, like a top 6 team in top 5 leagues. I haven't heard much about Sociedad, but I think it could be a great fit, and I think he just needs to leave Barcelona. To be honest, I'd even be okay with like a mid-table team. To be honest, I just want him to get game time.
All right, I think we go to Jeff now.
Yep.
Right? Jeff,
Yeah.
what do you think about Dest? You had a good shout out of the box opinion about Musa. Do you have one for Dest as well? Do you think that maybe he can go to a team that he hasn't been linked to or a league that he hasn't experimented before? What do you think?
Well, for a player like Dest, just like I said with Pulisic, he's a very technical fullback, and I actually did speculate it before that he can go to a team like Real Sociedad. And honestly, it would be a very good move for him. Other than like Shrey said, Dortmund, that's not going to be good of a move for him because they're going to get Personada, right? That's his name.
Fresneda.
Personada, yeah. And we just want Des to have playing time. He's one of our starting fullbacks. He just needs to go to a club where he can have a better season than the season he just had. And just establish himself as a starter and get the minutes possible and get in good form.
Yeah, we also have to realize that playing time is not guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we can hope for the best.
That's why he perhaps should go to a smaller club. But since we're talking about fullbacks, our other fullback, Jedi, who came off of a really good season at Fulham, I think he had a really solid season. I think he did really, really well to earn himself the attention from other clubs. He has attracted interest reportedly from Marseille, who I'm not really a fan of, AC Milan, but they're interested in everyone, so you don't know how credible that is. It comes out of Calciomercato. Again, it's a very iffy source. And there's a Man City link as well. I'm not entirely sure, but one thing is for sure, he did decline up until now, the renewal with Fulham, so he's likely to be on the move, and Fulham are not going to lose him for free. So, Brandon, do you think that he's going to stay in the Prem? What do you think about the clubs that he's been linked to, and where do you picture himself, and then where do you picture him next season?
Yeah, I think all of these links are a really good sign. Regardless of what you think of the potential fits at some of these clubs, I agree that Marseille, probably not the best, but the fact that these established Champions League teams are all interested in him is a really good sign, and it just shows how well he's progressed this past season. I think he was one of the leaders in the Prem in one-on-one wins, which says a lot. And another link that you didn't mention, but I've seen, is Newcastle, and I've mentioned this in past videos, but I think it's just the perfect fit with them not having a traditional left back, really playing Dan Burn there, who's definitely more of a center back. I think in entering Champions League, especially for them, having more squad depth is absolutely vital with the extra games. So I think that would be a perfect move.
I think they have Matt Target at left back too.
They do, but he hasn't been playing too much, and I think the fact that he lost his spot to a massive center back is not a good sign for him.
Yeah. Matt Target has a lot of fitness issues ever since he left Southampton. He has been battling with injuries. And since you mentioned you jumped in, Akil, I'll go straight to you. Do you think that he can fit into that Newcastle squad? Like Braden said, they do have a vacant left back spot. I don't know how I forgot that link because that's the best one that appeared.
Yeah, I think Target left from Villa, but that's
Mhm.
okay. Um, Je- Jedi to
Yeah, he was at Southampton
Newcastle.
before Villa. I think. My bad, my bad.
Yeah, I think Jedi to Newcastle would be a perfect move, as Braden said. I basically have the same opinion, but my concerns is him with his ability on the ball and going forward. Defensively, he's great, and I have no doubts for him. And he could challenge Dan Burn for that spot. I think he's better than Dan Burn for sure. But it depends on who Newcastle goes since they're minted. They have so much money. They could literally go for anyone.
Yeah, it does make things harder, but I think it could be a good move. But that's a good point that you brought up. Shrey, do you think that Jedi could fit into that squad? Like Akil mentioned, he is better than Dan Burn, and he does have a little bit of a question mark on his technical side, but that's only going to improve if he gets the opportunity to go to a bigger club, in my opinion. And do you think that Newcastle could be that club? And if not, where?
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I think Newcastle is a really good move. I mean, they're playing in the Champions League next year. Sandro Tonali from AC Milan. I mean, what a transfer.
Yeah.
And bringing Jedi there, I think, he'll be surrounded by better players and he'll be playing in the Champions League. And I think it's just a chance for him to elevate his game. And yeah, I think Newcastle is just a really good move.
All right, Jeff, you watch a lot of the Premier League. I'm pretty sure you've seen a lot of Jedi. I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you think he fits into that squad? And if he doesn't, where would you like to see him?
Well, it's a no-brainer that Newcastle is a very good move for him. Like all of you said, he's going to be playing in the Champions League, and Newcastle are getting better players. And the fact that they are playing Dan Burn at left back, a center back, it's just going to be easier for him to, establish himself as a starter. And we all know how Jedi plays. Like he'll be able to fit in with Newcastle. He's not very good attacking. Technically, he's awful. His touch is pretty bad, and he's very good at defending too. So this is a very fitting move for him.
I think that's pretty harsh.
Yeah, I was going to say
Yeah.
I mean,
coming hard for Jedi.
I know, but I'm just saying what I've seen, and I am being pretty critical about this because his touch has been very costly for us. It's cost us a bit.
Yeah, I think people are a little bit harsh on Jedi's first touch. I think a lot of his good first touches go unnoticed, but that's fair as well. But since we're talking about the Prem, unfortunately, this player has descended into the championship, but he's definitely not going to stay there. Tyler Adams, our captain, unfortunately, he had the season that he had at Leeds individually. It wasn't a bad season, but Leeds were a mess, and he's definitely leaving. I've seen links to Brighton. That seems to be the most credible one since it was by David Ornstein. So that guy's always on top of transfers. And also rumors to Arsenal. What do you guys think? I think both moves make a lot of sense. Arsenal are definitely short in the midfield area. They're losing Partey and Shaka this summer. They haven't signed anyone. They're going to lose Rice to City. So do you guys think that that's a good move? I'll go to Akil. Do you think that he would fit into the Arsenal squad? Or if he does go to an Aston Villa or Brighton type of club, do you think he has the capability to be a starter there?
I think no, because for Arsenal and Brighton, you have to be good on the ball no matter what. And for De Zerbi's system, if you're not good on the ball, you're just going to get dropped for a 17-year-old Swedish wonder kid. And yeah, that's the harsh reality. He has to get better on the ball before making a big move. I think a mid-table club would suit him better, like Aston Villa especially. But even there, you have to be good on the ball, and I feel like he has to develop on that more. And the best way to do that is by going into a team where there's not that much pressure and where he has a good supporting midfielder along with him instead of Mark Roca, who's been there for a long time with him. It's and Leeds only got McKennie as a replacement just for Jesse to get sacked and then Tyler to get injured. So yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, really unfortunate season, as you mentioned, a series of catastrophes that happened. Shrey, do you think that, like Akil mentioned, he does need to get better on the ball? I think it's a little bit similar to Jedi's situation where he can only improve if he's given the opportunity to work with better players. I like that Akil mentioned that he's realistically not going to be starting at Brighton and Arsenal. I think a lot of our fan base thinks he would. What do you think, Shrey? What type of club do you see him starting at, and what club do you think realistically he could move to?
Yeah, I was about to say what you said. I mean, I love Tyler, don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of our fan base is overrating him. Like, they think he'd start for, like, not Villa, sorry, Arsenal, Man U, Brighton, etc. I think Villa could be a good move. Yeah, I think Villa would be a good move. I think he could thrive there. And, I mean, Villa's a good squad, so, I mean, why not? I mean, he just has to leave Leeds. I mean, at this point, like, he's way too good for the championship. And a mid-table team like Villa could be good for him.
All right, Jeff, what do you see in Tyler's future?
Well, I was gonna say Brighton, but then I just did remember that they do have ball playing center backs center mids, and we all know that Tyler is not the best on the ball, and Brighton seems to be pretty much a coherent interest other than Arsenal, because Moises Caicedo is pretty much looking likely to join Chelsea. And Villa are sorting their options, and they're going most likely for Tyler Adams. But yeah, like Shrey and Akil said, Villa seems more like a suitable option than Brighton and Arsenal.
I'm just gonna ask Braden. I think that Tyler gets a little bit harsh criticism when people say that he's not good on the ball. I think he's okay on the ball, but he's just not courageous enough, brave enough, passing it forward. I don't think he's progressive as a midfielder. Taking that into consideration and what everyone said, what do you think, Braden?
Yeah, I think some of the things you guys have been saying have been a little harsh, and maybe it's biased, but he has shown some promise on the ball, and specifically his tackling has been just very, very good. I think he was top 3 in tackles before getting injured, and I think he actually finished the season in the top 10 as well, despite missing most of it. So I think he can really shine at a bigger club. And with Brighton losing midfielders like Caicedo and McAllister, obviously McAllister is more of an attacking midfielder, but I think there is a place for Tyler if he can seize it. And with the development that Brighton has shown in the past couple of years, I think that De Zerbi could really mold him into more of a ball-playing center defensive midfielder. So I actually think Brighton would be a pretty solid move for him.
Okay, coming into the end of the video, there's one player left. Our new star man, Balogun, performed really well at the Nations League, had a great season in France, proved himself to be a prolific forward at a club that didn't really give him any opportunities in terms of goal opportunities, not game. And now he's linked to a lot of clubs. There was a concrete interest from Leipzig, I believe, and there are other clubs that are lurking him around. West Ham apparently have him as a priority. What do you guys think? There's also interest from the clubs in Italy. So this one's a handful. A lot of clubs interested. I'll go to Akil first. Where would you like to see him? I think Balogun's stock is really high right now, so he could probably almost cherry pick his club. Where would you like to see him go?
So for me, it's either Leipzig or another mid-table club like West Ham or Wolves, to get that playing time and just get that extra playing time, and the goals will come eventually because he's a world-class talent, and that's my opinion. If some people will disagree, but I think Balogun is a world-class talent, and it's a mistake from Arsenal's end on letting him go. I think he could make that team. And in Nketiah, he's 24. I think he's almost 25. And he still hasn't solidified himself. And I think he should be the one getting the move. And Balogun should be competing with Gabi Jesus for that striker spot.
All right. Moving on to Braden. What do you think about Balogun's prospects for the future? Like Akil mentioned, he is very suitable to a mid-table club in the Prem. I think it's fair to say he's a world-class talent. A talent. He's a prospect to be a world-class player possibly in the future. Do you agree with that? And do you think he is Prem bound for the next season, or is he moving abroad?
Yeah, so like you said, I think he has a lot of options from all sorts of leagues just due to the season he had in France and his age, the potential he has. I liked some of the clubs that Akil mentioned. I hadn't considered Wolves previously, but considering their lack of goals, I think he could be a good option for them to finally fix their striker problem since Raul Jimenez hasn't been the same since his unfortunate head injury. But I have a shout that I don't think anyone has really talked about yet. And since he was so good in Ligue 1 last year, I think a move to a club like Marseille or Lens could be pretty solid because I think Lois Openda from Lens is probably going to be leaving. He seems to have outgrown the club, and I think there'd be an opening for Balogun there as they're going to be a Champions League team. And for Marseille, they have Alexis Sanchez, but he's very old and I think he's past his best for sure. And so I think there could be a potential opening there as well. I think he really suits Ligue 1 as we saw. So I think those clubs could be an outside shot.
That's good, but like what concerns me is the level of Liga. I don't think Balogun would develop as much. And if you put him in the hardest league in the world, the Prem, or a league like the Bundesliga, which has much higher competition than Liga, I think he could develop there. And in the Prem, if you put him in early and he succeeds, that could be a really good sign for us.
Yeah, I think that's a fair concern, but I think the key factor is the Champions League part. I think teams like Marseille and Lens, the fact that they're playing Champions League in Europe could give him opportunities outside of Ligue 1. Like you said, it's not the best league, but having the extra competition in there, I think could be really key.
For me, I think patience is key because he doesn't necessarily need to be playing Champions League this early. I think playing in a league or a team with that level of competition that could help him develop, or that could help Balogun become close to a world-class player, like playing in the Premier League. And if he succeeds, Champions League could come later in his career. And that's my opinion.
I get both sides. I think that it's very fair to say that the move to Lyon would be nice because he would be the guy in a league that he's comfortable at right now. But I agree with Akil that in order to harness his skill and in order for him to get even like amplify his ceiling, I think the Prem would be a better move. But he would be the guy at a club playing Champions League, so it is fair on both sides. Straight, what do you think? Which move would you favor out of these two and out of the other options that Balogun has?
Yeah, so I know that there have been rumors in regards to Inter and AC Milan. I don't like those two moves. I think if he does move, I think he should move to France or England. And honestly, I think he'll probably move to England just because he's like lived in England all his life. I mean, yeah, he's playing for us, but I mean, he's English. Like, let's be real here. And I mean, okay, I guess he's American and English and Nigerian. But I think West Ham could be a good move. I mean, he's played in Arsenal in London for all this time, and he'll be back home. He'll be in London. He'll be at a good team. Antonio's getting pretty old. And yeah, I think that's a good move. And I also think Wolves is a good move. I think Wolverhampton's also pretty close to London. I'm not exactly sure on that. But regardless, it's still in England, and England's pretty small. And yeah, after Jimenez, I mean, they haven't really had a good forward up top, and I think Balogun could definitely be that forward.
All right, Jeff, Balogun, what do you think?
Yeah, I say Wolves is the most likely best option for him. Although West Ham doesn't sound bad either. He'll be back where he grew up in the London area, and like Trey said, Mikel Antonio, he's pretty old now, and I feel like Balogun he'll fit in either one. But if I were to say which team seems more better, I'm just gonna go West Ham just because be in the Europa League next season, right? Since they won Conference League, they got Europa League.
Yes.
Yep. And yeah, he'll just get more opportunities, more appearances, and he'll be in Europe as well.
All right, so passing on the outro to our favorite inmate, Jeff. Can you do the honors?
Well, that about wraps it up. We hope you enjoyed. Drop a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.
Yep.
Thank
Check
you,
out our
guys.
shorts and our new content soon. Peace.